Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An absolute pleasure to meet you both virtually. How are you today? Okay.
Hi,
Good. How are
Sarah.
you?
Good.
Lovely to chat to you. Maybe you could just kick off with a little introduction to your characters, because obviously people might already be fans of the first season, but you're joining for the first time. So tell us a bit about who you play in season two. I'll start with you, Zach.
Yeah. So Rafael Garcia lives in Tijuana, but goes to school in San Diego. He's a pretty quiet and gentle kid who's very much kind of in search of his North Star. He looks to other people that are far more charismatic and personable to kind of tell him who and where he is in time and space, and goes on this experience uh, to get away and ends up on a deserted island, apparently.
It does.
And you, Aidan?
Yeah. Henry is your typical emo kid. He has a nose ring. He has headphones, eyeliner. He's very reclusive, and he's an introvert, and he's very smart as well because he has this background as a Boy Scout. He was a Boy Scout in his past life, and I feel like that knowledge becomes very helpful while on the island. And yeah, he had a really good relationship with his mom until his parents got a divorce, and his mom met Seth's dad, who becomes my stepbrother. And they kind of both go to the island and discover things about themselves, and yeah, kind of just, I guess, try to grow.
And it looks like you were shooting under pretty brutal conditions for real. I think one of the artists saying it's mostly on location. So what maybe was one of the hardest moments of that, and what was one of the highlights for you?
I would say that when you have like eight people in a scene, which a lot of the show is, that's a lot of coverage, and it's a lot of every angle of shooting everybody from every which angle, which can just take forever. And there's a scene, and when I watched the show, I just remembered how hot it was that day that we spent all day shooting this scene, and it was so incredibly hot, and the umbrellas, and it was so sweaty. It was just sweat everywhere. So I think watching it back, it definitely reminded me of just how brutal those beaches can be, and did not make me wish to be going through that actual experiment myself.
Yeah, we had what you don't see is when they call cut, and people are bringing us hot packs and putting them on our back, and
Yeah.
it's cold, it's hot, it's like it's all different temperatures, and yeah, it was pretty intense and brutal in some aspects, but we had such a great crew that really cared for us and made sure we were okay all the time, which was great.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Gabby from. Oh, once again, okay. Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm from Legião dos Heróis, Brazil. Being stuck in a deserted island is you need to be mentally and physically prepared for it. So, how did you two prepare for the shooting?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of some really strong coffee and a lot of sunscreen. I think that the elements definitely play their part on this show, both the characters and the actors playing them. And so I think it's a lot of just, sleeping well, eating right, and making sure you're ready for those long days for sure.
Lots of sunscreen, yes. A lot of energy bars as well. There were a lot of energy bars on set that were being consumed. Yeah, I mean, it was a very cool environment that we were able to shoot in, and beautiful island, Stradbroke Island in Australia, and it was just, yeah, it was such a unique experience. I feel that type of being around, being able to kind of just wake up and be around that environment is just so cool, and yeah.
Obviously, season one was already out before they decided to kickstart this second one. So, had you already watched the whole of the first season? Were you big fans? And did you feel any pressure coming on board something that already had, quite a strong existing fan base?
Yeah, I think I remember when I originally auditioned, all that was out was the trailer. I remember watching the trailer and being like, "Oh, this is pretty sick." And then as the audition process went on, I didn't want to watch the show because I was afraid that if I didn't get it, I'd get too invested in it. And I watched the pilot the night that I got the call that I was going to be on the show, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I think that there definitely comes a great responsibility. Not to sound like Spider-Man, but there's a great responsibility that comes with being a part of a show that's already been established by these incredible women that did the first season. And I think our hope as the guys is to hopefully take that baton and continue to run with it all together, and just hopefully bring these new stories that incorporate a lot of new lifestyles and experiences, and hopefully bring truth and more exposure to different lifestyles for sure.
Yeah, I think I was a fan of the show before I auditioned. I auditioned later than Zach. I got the audition in January of 2021, so the whole show was out by then. And yeah, I was just so drawn in by just the raw and real performances that were being told, in a show like this. And that, I guess, that's all we hoped for. When we got the opportunity to shoot this, just kind of giving raw and accurate performances of a teenager.
So you both said that you watched the first season. So how was it for you to get to know the girls and interact with them and their characters as well?
I remember saying to Sarah Stryker one of the times I first met her is that they did an incredible job of casting like people that are just really just lovely people to be around. I mean, the girls were so incredibly welcoming, and from the first day we got there, and it really was like summer camp. So over time, it did very much become a family. And we have a group chat and we're always talking, and they're nothing but lovely people. So it's been awesome, and they've really helped us kind of figure out who we are in these characters and who we are in this show, most definitely.
Yeah, they're so wonderful. It's been such a cool experience, like being able to be on the wilds and meet, and also just the cast being so just great people, and like Zach said, we have a group chat that we just saw a few of them like a couple days ago, like we were all just hanging out, and yeah, just good people. And I remember when we first got there and we were in quarantine and we didn't really know what was going on much. We just like got there. We didn't have the scripts yet. We were just in this 14-day quarantine. And at least for me, I was feeling like, whoa, like, this wall seems like it's getting closer to my, to my bed. But like, I remember Shannon sent us all a DM, I think like the first day we got in, and it was like, we're so glad that, to have you here. And it was just so cool,
It feels like a huge strength of the first season was definitely how kind of diverse the cast was and the characters are, both in terms of kind of background, nationality, ethnicity, sexuality, but also kind of, in some ways not very likable characters or definitely very real in terms of being very flawed, and seeing how stereotypes get, overturned throughout the course of that season. So was it interesting to apply that kind of to a male group as well? And was that something that appealed to you about also coming on board?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what this show does really well is, and like, as we know as humans, like there is no perfect person, right? We can strive for perfection, but 10 times out of 10, we're probably not going to hit that perfection point. And so I think that applies with these characters as well, is that none of them are perfect people. We all have our flaws. We all have things that we struggle with. And I think that the boys are even, more heightened examples of that, right? There are things that we learn about each character and their backstory and how they kind of got to this point that really influences how their experience on the island goes. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. I think every girl and boy have their own story, different story, different personalities, strengths and like weaknesses, and you kind of see how that all clash. You kind of see how these different people clash and who meshes well and it's such a cool I keep saying cool, but it's such a cool show, and like in that aspect of bringing all these different types of people together.
So would you say you're in some aspect like your characters, or did you learn something with your characters preparing for them?
I would say I'm not much like Henry. I'm not an emo kid, but I did learn a lot about, the emo personality and kind of like just kind of, I also learned a lot about kids whose parents have gone through divorces and like how that affects a child, and I wanted to do research on that because my parents are together, but being able to watch movies about divorced parents and how that could take a toll on a child's life and how they feel, how do they cope with that? And I feel Henry copes with that by discovering this emo personality and feeling comfortable in that area.
I would say I'm not much like Roth either. I feel like Roth is a pretty quiet person, and those that know me, I would say that I'm probably more of an extrovert in that respect comparatively. But for Roth is actually lightly based on a real person that is a friend of one of our writers on the show, and not necessarily his personality, but his story. And so I got the opportunity to get to talk with him and kind of ask him about his experience and what that was like to be, waking up at 4 a.m. and driving all the way to San Diego every morning for school. And now, what he's doing now. And it's really incredible. And it was an awesome opportunity to be able to kind of get in that headspace and figure out how exhausted this guy was in pursuit of what he wanted to accomplish.
And Gabby, this will be the last question. Thank you both.
So if you were to be stuck in a deserted island, who would you like to be stuck with?
From the characters from the show?
Anyone you know.
Oh, anyone?
Yeah.
Oh. Aidan, you want to go first?
It's a tough question because anyone. There's a musician that I love. His name is Jai Paul. Probably him because he makes great music. So he'd be making some good music on the islands, I feel.
I feel like I'd probably choose my best friend. I feel like if I'm going to go out, I feel like I'd like to spend it with someone that I enjoy spending time with and hanging out with. So I'm going to probably choose him.
Nice.
What a morbid note to land on.
Hope you didn't offend anyone else that you didn't pick either.
Oh, man.
Oh, it was lovely to chat to you both. Thanks so much for sharing all that with us. Can't wait for everyone
Thanks
else
so
to
much,
see this
guys.
incredible.
Thank you, Sarah and
season.
Gabby. Have a
Thanks a
good
lot.
one.
Bye.
Cheers. Yeah, thank
See you.
you.